renarspodcast.
I always get fascinated when someone says like, would you assume or would you think that this is what you would be doing 10 years past or 10 years before? Like if I would ask you 10 years younger, like would you think you would have a podcast, you would be doing stunts for 7 years, you work with all these stars in the film sets, you done go-go dancing, stripping, like all those kind of things. I was like, what are you crazy? Did you smoke crack again or something? But I think these kind of things for me started to develop when I first of all, stop thinking about what other people think, 100%. And one of my biggest things was I was following my sister's footsteps. I was like looking up to her and I thought...
The conventional life path, right?
Yeah, she was like, she's the boss. She got the job very young. She got married, got babies, and like she's very successful in her career. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And I'm going to do business. And not even thinking about, I fucking hate business. I fucking hate to talk about these numbers and who is this. And I just can't stand that. But I would just blindly follow, yeah, that's the solution. And it's insane if you think about it. And then when my gut was literally aching, saying, Renars, this is not your path. Just stop. Just stop. It's not your path. And then when all of a sudden I start thinking about that, everything started folding. I lost my job, my business, broke up with my ex, got my master's degree. Now I have nothing. And someone says, let's go to Canada. I was like, if this is not a sign, then I don't know what it is. Just follow your gut and do your thing. And look at this. It's like, wow. So I definitely can suggest anyone and everyone just follow your gut feeling. And then more and more researchers out there that there's literally, we have to feel and follow our gut.
There's a brain down there. There's research saying that.
Not down there, more down there.
Oh, there's a massive brain down there. No, but you make listen, I'm always very cautious about saying this because I actually think people have a right to think you're talking bollocks, CK. Shut up. Because the only reason I think people have a right to say that is because that was me not that long ago when people started talking about your right to happiness and listening to yourself and stuff. And it's only now, interestingly, so many of my closest friends, I look around me and they're constantly in a state of abject unhappiness. Whether it's with their romantic relationships, their work, just abject unhappiness. On paper, however, their life is what we're conditioned to believe is what we should be striving for. They've got a comfortable job, they've got a house, they've got a mortgage, they've got a kid, they've got a wife. So on paper, they've got everything that we've been conditioned for years to pursue. So why the fuck aren't you happy? I don't get it. And the answer is that they've pursued what they've been told. They've pursued what they've been told to pursue rather than what that is telling them to pursue. And they're all now saying to me, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I can't for this reason, for that reason. And I've always been mercilessly selfish in my pursuit of things. Now, when I say mercilessly selfish, I don't mean like other people's feelings mean a lot to me. But what I mean is I've never really been too concerned with society's expectations of me. If I want to go and live in London or undercover for 6 months, then so be it. I know people at the time. I remember at the time I was 35, and one woman said, "What are you doing this for? You should be like, what are you doing?" And I felt a little uneasy at that point because I was staying in a house. She let me stay in a house. And she was like, how old are you, by the way, CK? 35. Oh, why are you doing this crazy challenge at 35 then? And I remember that really... The question was so alien to me, I'd never even thought about it.
You just took that award from me. I just said that it's like dealing with aliens. I literally just wanted to say it. Mate,
the question was so alien. I mean... For all intents and purposes, I don't think it's an unreasonable question, actually. And the reason I don't think it's an unreasonable question is because I generally base things on what the majority think. And I know that the majority would be thinking like her.
Yeah.
It'd only be unreasonable if she said something that no one would agree with, that most people would agree with her. At 35, stop fucking around, right? Would you agree that most people would think like her?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I'm doing this because I'm just like, how is it possible that people still think that way?
Correct. But, you know, and I remember that really impacted me at the time, and I was kind of chewing over it for some time, and I did this post on Facebook, because I wanted to be honest with people that are following my journey. I said, X said this yesterday, I'm quite... It's thrown me a little bit, it's made me question myself, it's made me a little bit upset, and it's made me a little bit angry. And then she saw it, her daughter saw it, and it was like, oh, CK, I wish you hadn't put that up there, you'd have spoken to us about it first. And that was a fair... That was a fair hope, to be fair. That was a fair request. But I wanted to be honest with everybody. But my point is, I've always done these things that are against the grain. And my only objective every day now, and again, people are going to think, oh, is this dick? My only objective every day is just to be happy, dude. And I was in, I don't know if you're familiar with, what's it called? Isabella Plantation in Richmond Park. I went there yesterday and I was just walking down this beautiful stretch of green plain and this 2 red deers just walked in front of me. Mate, do you know the wildest animal I've ever been next to? A Labrador.
I thought you were going to say your ex-girlfriend, but okay.
That beautiful thing. No. I'd liken her more to a bison.
Oh, shit.
She had a huge ass. No. These 2 red deers just walked in front of me, stopped, and started grazing. And I wasn't even expecting... I've heard there's deer in Richmond Park, but I wasn't expecting me to happen across them. And I was like, this is pure happiness for me right now. And on it, just something as minute as that. And interesting what you were just saying about how we're led to pursue things. I'm reading a book which you might actually really enjoy at the moment called Everything Now, and how we're living in a culture where we can literally have everything now. We can have everything now. And the writer of the book, Steve McKinney, whatever, his theory is that although we expected it to make us happy, it's actually putting us in this perpetual cycle of chasing. Perpetual cycle of I want that now, want that now, want that now.
The rat race as well.
And we're never just sitting and embracing and enjoying and it's just that perpetual speed, and it makes a lot of sense. It's a really interesting book thus far, but
it's interesting. It could be, but it could be also a good chasing. You could be chasing your dreams, perpetual, like non-stop chasing your dreams, chasing your aspirations, and But then question is like, what are they considered to be viable or good dreams, And then like certain group of people think then mortgage, the house, the kids, that's the dream. And some of them could just say like, I am so happy with this, and which is totally fine. But the question is, as you mentioned, about people who are not happy, and that's one of the reasons why I don't go to Latvia that often anymore, because I meet and there's this one specific guy who was like, it just hurts my heart that I see him, and then he says again, as you mentioned, like these excuses. So he studied law, and I think he has like PhD, whatever, high degree, and he's working for this big companies, but he always want to do stand-up, and he already started doing it in Latvia, stand-up, like presenting stuff. That's his thing. He loves to entertain people. Anytime we used to hang out, he always entertain everyone. It's obvious. It's right there. It's in you. And then when I just moved to Canada, and I remember I come back 2 years later, and I talked to him. I said, listen, just fucking pack your shit, go do something. And he's like, no, but I have all this university degree, and I have this job. I'm not going to leave it. And then I go back 2 years later, and I start doing something else over there. Whether I was just dancing, whatever. My friends were still laughing, and you're just dancing there. And then when I got back 1 year, I was like, I do stunts, and I start working with these actors. They're like, okay. And then see me doing stand up or whatever, doing podcasts. Like some of them don't even want to talk to me anymore because I proved them wrong. That. Yes. Because like you would think when I was 25 to leave after getting masters, whatever, it felt like you're too old to go and pursue these things. Also the language barrier, all these things. And I was like, no, I've just started living my life, And then as you heard me before saying, I'd rather live. It's like to die chasing my dreams, but also the other thing is like if you would be given choice to live 20 years of your life, pathetic, annoying life where you hate your job, you just make that cash, that check, whatever, or instead you would be given 2 years of the best life ever, talk to the coolest people, to the most interesting, and reach these things what you always want to do. Which one do you choose? Is there even a brainer? You know what I mean?
I remember honestly, I remember once having a conversation with an ex. And
can you lower your mic a little bit? I think
for all intents and purposes, she was an incredible human being. Like there was literally nothing about her I didn't like. I remember one conversation we had at the time. I was working as a supervisor for the Red Cross. We're going back about 12, 14, 15 years here, by the way. I was working part-time for the Red Cross as an area supervisor whilst doing all my CK projects. And I can't remember what she asked me. Something along the lines of, would you ever go full-time at Red Cross? No, why? Because how would that leave me space to pursue my own things? And she went, yeah, but just go full-time and then you'll blah, blah, blah. And I said almost verbatim what you live by. And I said, listen, do you know what? I would rather be somewhat penniless but continue pursuing my dreams because I don't want to be lying on my deathbed thinking I didn't try hard enough. And what she said next really struck me. She went, that doesn't make any sense. But to me, I'd never said anything more sound and lucid in my life. It just seemed to be a complete no-brainer to me. Like, why would I succumb to the expectations and then be unhappy? It was foreign to me, but to her it was mad.
Oh, dude,
we didn't last.
It is really interesting how, like, for me now, and also I've been single for ages, and like when I do meet someone,
Not as long as me, Moose.
oh, you winning, you always win. I'll give you this one.
The loser game, CK, is always yours.
Hey.
I've missed that cheer because I also did stand up.
Cheer.
Which I
Yeah, why did you stop doing stand up? Is it took too much time from your project?
Oh, mate, there's too many reasons for me to bore you with right now.
Really? Okay, then don't. Next book.
Blah, blah, blah. Renarspodcast.